Building a strong data foundation for early college success. My name is Jennifer Amos. I am with P2C. I am serving as the coordinator of early college activities this year on behalf of New Mexico Public Education Department. Joining me is my colleague, Tracy Bryant. Tracy, would you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Jennifer. As Jennifer said, I'm the Vice President of State Workforce Partnerships for Pathway to Careers, and I've been a partner with Jennifer for many years as we started the early college high school movement in Las Cruces with Arrowhead Park Early College High School. And so I'm a great fan of the early college high school community of New Mexico, and I thank all of you for the work that you do.
Thank you, Tracy. Today, we will review the data requirements of NMAC 6.30.13. We'll discuss successful strategies to collect and report the data and also discuss impacts of the data. As we present this material, please jot down any questions or suggestions that you may have, and you can email or call us at any time. As we talk about the requirements and compliance, let's all keep in mind that quality data applied appropriately informs us of where we are and where we need to go. So let's take a look at each data element, the recommended goals and requirements for submission, and discuss how this data can support continuous improvement and identify celebrations. We will share some summary data today from last school year that's pretty impressive. You can also identify barriers you've experienced and highlight successful systems some of you may have in place, and hopefully share those thoughts in future sessions. This first essential data metric is pretty straightforward. Who makes up the population of your school? Does your district assist you in maintaining this data? Have you established recruitment goals in line with the guiding principles of the early college model? Seeking first-generation students and those typically underserved populations. Later, you will see that you are asked to provide artifacts from the recruiting process on how you have worked to recruit these populations. This is a snapshot of the statewide enrollment data from last school year. How are you using this data in the classroom? Can we expand the demographic data for instructional improvement further, such as adding gender? Gender studies can be quite revealing. A simple example is classroom dynamics. Are girls called on more than boys, or vice versa? Please let us know in an email if improving instructional practices using disaggregated data is a topic that you'd like to discuss further in a PLC session or individually. Also, please let us know if this is an area of expertise for you and you would like to lead a session for your colleagues. Another piece of essential data that you are asked to submit is that of dual credit participation. This is how the rule reads for 11th grade expectations, 3 post-secondary credits completed, and 12th grade expectations, at least 80% of students completing 12th grade will have a minimum of 12 post-secondary credits. We know that if your school is designed to support students in completing associate programs, students will have completed several more credits than this by 11th grade. This is a snapshot of last year's data. 83.9% of graduates had more than 12 credits. That's a semester in the bag for many students throughout New Mexico. College attainment. College attainment is another data point that you are asked to submit, although there's not a specific target for this data point. Last school year, it was reported that 60% of early college students earned an associate's degree. This is amazing. And my colleague Tracy is going to talk about the return on investment.
Thank you, Jennifer. So One of the benefits of the early college high school model is the economic impact on students, meaning students who graduate with a higher credential will earn more immediately upon graduation. And if you look at this graph from RISE New Mexico, the new longitudinal data system website, you'll see that that trajectory continues, that a student who starts off earning more than just, having just graduated high school, that will sustain them over the course of, as you can see in this graph, even the first 5 years. So when you talk about recruiting students, there is a very strong economic component to the early college high school model. And if you talk about return on investment, as Jennifer was saying, next slide, please, there's a lot of different ways you can quantify return on investment. Um, you know, Ideally, the student who graduates in early college high school will get into the workforce 1 to 2 years sooner, regardless of, if they go on to pursue a higher degree. That means that they could possibly also be getting out of school 1 to 2 years sooner, which means they'll have reduced debt. And then if they're getting out and earning more, that means they're also spending more in our communities and they're making greater contributions to the tax base. And so what does that look like? Jennifer, if you would, next slide, please. This is just based on New Mexico data, like the state. So, we can look at the data and see that an individual who graduates with an associate's degree has a $12,000 earning advantage over a student who just graduated with their high school diploma. But when you look at that group of 614 students in that last column on the right, collectively, the early college high school students who earned associate's degrees have earned $7.5 million more than their non-early college peers. So it's really a powerful economic driver, not just for the individual, but for their community and for their state. But then play that out. How much more money do they have in disposable income to spend in our communities? How much more of a contribution to the local tax base will they make, both federally and state? And then if they're able to get out of school sooner, the average student loan debt in New Mexico, according to the data I saw, it's $36,000 total. So if you said, $9,000-ish a year, then that student who graduates with an associate's degree could conceivably be saving $18,000 a year. And so when you look at that group of 614, that's the economic benefits that the individual is receiving, that the community is receiving, that the state is receiving. And then if you would, next slide, please. One of the really strong states that has been a big proponent of dual enrollment broadly is Texas. And a few years back, they did one of the better studies on, are we getting our money's worth for dual credit in the state? And when they looked at both the same kind of factors we just talked about, the increase in income, but also they looked at the lesser need for social programs, what we are investing in dual enrollment, are we getting a return on our investment? And they found it was a they're getting 5 times more than they're paying for dual credit. And they looked at it in the terms of the student getting out faster, the student having increased lifetime earnings, decreased governmental spending on social programs, reduction in time to degree, reduction in college spending, and earlier entry to the workforce. So that study in Texas is really very strong. And I really see that New Mexico is achieving, if not 5 times, perhaps even more, as we continue these early college high school programs and the dual enrollment, the dual credit that fuels them. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Tracy. So the next data metric that you are asked to submit is the number of students achieving a workforce credential. So this is in addition to the associate programs that you are currently offering. The rule is written so that students will be provided with this opportunity to earn the industry credential. However, there's no specific target set or requirement set. So this past year showed that 32% of early college graduates graduated with credentials. and then 9% had workforce certificates. So the difference there would be workforce certificate programs would be programs such as auto mechanics certification or welding certification. This year, the CCRB has released the new CTE Hub, and on this hub, there are many career development tools available to you, including the recommended industry credentials. And Tracy at this time is going to provide us with a brief tour of the new resource center.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yes, I really want to give big props to the College and Career Readiness Bureau under the leadership of Breezy Gutierrez. Pathway to Careers was able to partner with Breezy in implementing her vision for creating a one-stop shop that really allows not just the CTE programs of the state, but really everyone to have a better understanding of those connections from classroom to career. So this is the New Mexico Resource Center for CTE. And it does contain things that, like previously you had the Labor Market Navigator, which allowed every school district in the state of New Mexico to understand what is real and relevant in careers in their community, organized by career clusters. And so you can see here, this is at a state level. Here are the new modernized career clusters as defined by Advanced CTE. And we've laid this out in more of a Tableau dashboard format. And so when I'm just going to pick a career cluster. And so, if we're talking about advanced manufacturing, we can go to the school district level. And I'll just pick Albuquerque because it's here at the top. So in Albuquerque, in advanced manufacturing, what are the kinds of occupations that are available? What are the high value occupations? I have the opportunity to click not high value or high value so that, especially with Perkins funding, I'm able to really clarify what are the high value occupations, how many openings, projected employment change, growth, what do they pay hourly and annually? And so this allows a student, a teacher to really have a better understanding. But now if I want to dig a little deeper, engineering actually falls under advanced manufacturing. So I'm going to just click engineering as a subcluster, and you'll see I'm still in Albuquerque and I'm still on high value jobs. Well, if I am, pursuing an engineering career in Albuquerque, this is where I basically have the best opportunities because these are all high value careers, and they're listed by job zone. And what that means is how much education do I need to become this career? 2 is high, 2 is basically high school graduate, 3 is a credential or associate's degree, 4 is bachelor and above, 5 is graduate. And so you can see these same things, and and if you're picking, for example, aerospace engineer, you can see the kind of projections from employment as well as projections and wages. And what's really important, as you all as the early college community, and you're wanting to build strong programs, let's just say in engineering as an example, now there is career frameworks. These frameworks are aligned to labor market demand, industry credentials, and degrees. And so, here's similar information about occupations that we saw. Here's your certification pathway. What industry recognized credential has value in the labor market? Well, here you go. Autodesk Certified User Inventor. What associate's degrees have value? Bachelor's degrees, master degrees. There are some more credentials that you could find in a PDF. And then these are standards by which a program, a curricula can be evaluated. So they're organized in strands. There's a career readiness and exploration strand, health and safety, technical knowledge, cross-curricular demonstration, and employability skills. Now, across all of the career frameworks, 1, 2, and 5 tend to be very consistent, and it integrates with the Pathway to Careers platform so that students have access to exploring these careers on a deeper level. And then the real meat of change will be here in the technical knowledge standards. And so if I'm going to think about being in engineering and earning a credential or degree, here are the kinds of learning objectives that that an academic program should provide so that the student is ready to pursue that career. And then, and I apologize if I'm giving anybody car sickness here, but, so there's 11 standards, but then there's also some examples of cross-curricular demonstration where you can work in that English, science, and math, academic skills into the delivery of a CTE program in engineering. And then, and there's also instructional resources, different supports, math lessons that are aligned to engineering careers, licensure, CTSOs, and really, just sort of allows you a window into some really good information as you design your particular early college high school program. And so that is all organized by the career clusters that are the new career clusters framework. And so with that, I will turn it back over to Jennifer.
So here we are back at credentials. Thank you, Tracy. That site is pretty amazing. So I'm excited for people to start using it. But as you talk about industry credentials and look for those, make sure that you know which industry credentials and certificates your post-secondary partner offers, and does your student have access to those? For those of you offering associate programs, have you considered offering certificates applicable to general employability, such as the CPR or OSHA 10? These can be embedded in early career development courses, and many of you are doing the College 101 courses where students could earn certification in those courses. So the next data element that you're required to submit numbers for is the participation in work-based learning. And this is really a focus area for the CCRB this year. And it is written into the NMAC rule that students are offered the opportunity with no specific metric defined. And I think all of us can relate to how effective work-based learning is. As educators, think about the value of field experience or student teaching. Have any of you had the experience where a student teacher set their foot in the door the very first time in a classroom, their very last semester of their bachelor's degree, and they decided it just wasn't for them and they changed their mind? That's pretty tragic for someone to make it that far and then not finish that degree. Work-based learning can help students develop passion for their field, or, like I just mentioned, change their mind completely. And high school is the time to do this without wasting time and money exploring career fields before they begin paying for college. How are you keeping track of the number of students enrolled in each pathway? Do you have specific pathways defined, or do your students have open access to all your post-secondary partner offerings, which makes it a bit more difficult? This is another data piece that the post-secondary partner can assist you with. In the smaller schools, are you defining only specific programs, or is your post-secondary partner defining these programs for you? Yesterday, we learned of an early college that's working with 4 different post-secondary institutions. They're pursuing different pathways based on community need and student interest. So the takeaway here is if student pathways are clearly defined, this makes collecting this data much more efficient. The remaining areas that we will cover require that artifacts be shared with the CCRB. The equity and access documentation requirement can be satisfied with an upload of your recruitment materials, agendas, outline of outreach activities, items that clearly show your process is aligned with the early college principles and pursuing enrollment of underserved populations. P2C will be sending you links to a file sharing folder that will support this requirement. This rule states that the artifacts must be submitted annually. Other artifacts, I'm sure you have all your MOUs in place. The MOUs now must be submitted annually in this same manner. And Are your MOUs up to date? Are you changing the appendices of courses offered annually? So this would be something that you would need to upload. Same thing for workforce partners. Are your MOUs in place and up to date? So this last item, as for tracking plan requirement, this should be covered in your MOU. And the reference for this is NMAC 6.30.7. It states that post-secondary institutions shall track progress of dual credit enrolled students on the issue of academic performance and provide reports as needed. So I know the college provides the grade reports to you. So that's a good indication. Oh, there's a lot of data that you can use from that. Successful completion. Do you identify a course or a particular section of a course that students are not being successful in? The post-secondary institution is also required, and the public institution is to comply with data collection and reporting in that same provision for New Mexico higher ed and public ed. So here's an example of an MOU for your post-secondary partners. In the end of year survey last year, many of you asked for simple samples of documents and or checklist. So this documentation is available for you in the Early College High School Resource Toolkit. In addition, we have an MOU for work-based learning partnerships. This is different in that businesses are very interested in this last section. This is a lot of text for a slide, but if you can see, businesses are especially interested in the insurance, health, the safety, liability, etc. Who's going to take care of disciplinary actions? Who's going to evaluate the students? So the full MOU for work-based learning is in the sample is in the resource site. Two more pieces of artifacts that you're required to upload, and this is new for 2025-26, are any artifacts you have where your school board or your governing body has approved the early college program. For those of you I will send out clarification for those of you who have been designated for several years on what that would look like for you. But the other piece is the sustainability plan that addresses the multi-year financial and staffing support. Should something happen with your MOU, you change partners, courses drop off, or you're required to start paying for different things, and for your own staffing support, it's being requested that you develop this sustainability plan. We will be sending out more details on what that should look like for you. Tribal consultation is another area where if you have artifacts from those governing bodies approving early college and dual credit participation for those students, you'll be uploading artifacts for that. So the compliance and accountability piece, again, all of this data that we've covered should be submitted annually. There will be a renewal process and redesignation every 5 years. So if you went through the redesignation process last year and you're not positive about your status, please send me an email and I can get that figured out for you. And if you are a program that's on probation or has an improvement plan, you should know that, I would say, in the next couple weeks, if you haven't already been notified about that. So how do we make this all happen, and how do we become efficient in our data collection and use of our data? We've developed a few suggestions here or recommendations so that you can develop a sample, so you can develop an action plan for data collection. I think one of the most important things is who is responsible. We covered what data needs to be collected. Now, who is going to be doing the collection and the reporting? If you can develop an action plan and make assignments and keep this in an ongoing process, maybe set monthly or quarterly goals to have your data updated, it's going to simplify things for you when reports are due. Or maybe you have a grant opportunity and your data is ready to go. So that's the good thing about having a plan in place. So P2C is responsible for creating a data dashboard this year. And it's really exciting to think that we might be able to simplify data collection and extraction in any way. So we will be sending out draft development components for your input. I really think the vision of the CCRB is for the dashboard to live on the website and make data readily available for all of us to use. So the next follow-up with the data and data studies would be, is this worthwhile to share and discuss our action plans in a PLC? I would really like your input on what our next step for analyzing data would be. And so be watching for an announcement regarding the first PLC. Please send us your comments, questions, or suggestions. And we thank you very much for attending today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.